just completed step 7. Now we're moving on to step 8. And in step 8, we are going to locate the piece of paper that's going to create this flap. Okay, so this is going to be the page that we're working on next. It's the inside panel of your folio. So we're going to look for our piece of paper that is just short of 5 7/8 wide by 8 5/8. So once you have that piece, you're going to take the bumpy side face down, flip it over, and you're going to add your adhesive to that top piece above the first score line. So here's the first score line, here's the second score line. So once you adhere your adhesive, then you're going to crease the score lines. So first, hit the first one with your tool, fold that second one, and that's going to create the flap that we're going to adhere to that center piece. For reference, here are our diagonal pockets on the back of page 1. I know it's a little hard to see because they're all white. You're going to be working with this piece, and we're going to adhere this to the top to create the flap. So let's go ahead and expose the adhesive on one of the sides, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to expose part of it. I like to flip my folio around so that I can see it better. And kind of work upside down because I want to be able to see where that piece is. So I am going to center it left to right in between the score lines on the left and right, and then I'm going to make it flush against that top piece. I'm going to rub down the piece that has the adhesive exposed. I'm going to hold this piece down where I want it, and then I'm just going to tug on those ends. When I'm done, just going to give that a nice little rub, and you now have your, let me flip it around for you. You now have your flap that goes like this. And that is the completion of step 8 and 9. Next, we're going on to step 10, and we're going to lift this flap, and we're going to be adding a pocket right here. I'm going to bring in Jen's book and show you what that pocket will look like. So here is the flap we just created, and here is the pocket that we're going to add next, and that is step 10. To create this pocket, we're going to locate the piece that is just shy of 6 7/8 wide by 3.5 inches tall. It's the short pocket, and we're going to do the same thing we did in the past, and we're going to just trim those corners at an angle. I don't measure, I just make sure I go through the center of the intersection of those two score lines. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be cut so that your pocket, each of these pieces will fold to make the pocket. And there's no binding along the way. We are going to take our pocket and face it bumpy side down, and we are going to add our adhesive to the 1/2 inch spots along the bottom and the left and the right side, just outside of that score line. So you don't want to get the tape too close to the score line because you don't want it to bind. Once you've done that, it will look like this. We're going to take your pocket and we're going to fold those flaps inward towards the bumpy side. So here's the bumpy side. We're going to fold each of those score lines into the bumpy side. And then we're going to make sure we really crease that good to make the pocket so that it lays flat. I go ahead and do it from both sides just to make sure that pocket lays flat. We'll bring in our cover and we're going to adhere that pocket to the bottom of this page. Here's your flap, okay? So your flap is up and you will adhere it to the bottom of this page. This is the back side of the cover. Now, again, you're going to want to add any decorative paper before you add this pocket. If you don't, you're going to be struggling with putting your decorative paper down after you put the pocket in place. So decorate this, then adhere your pocket. So let's go ahead and adhere that pocket. Again, I always adhere the bottom first, just because I can control that a little bit easier than I can control the two sides. I've got it lined up on the bottom, centered left to right, pull my little tab, and then adhere the left and right. Then you just roll it up from the bottom, rub it down, and then give it another rub on those score lines so your pocket is nice and flat. So your pocket is underneath this piece. So we just completed step 10. Now we'll move on to the pocket for step 11. As we move on to step 11, I wanted to give you a frame of reference. So here is your belly band. Here is the flap we created and the pocket. We're going to work with page 2. So this is that second page we added to the cover. And what we're creating is this diagonal pocket that looks like this. Same thing. I'm going to show you how to create the angle, but I want you to be aware that you're really going to want to decorate this with your patterned paper or colored cardstock before you adhere it so that you can trace this angle and it looks nice every time. You don't want to have it set down and go, oh, now I have to create this angle and it's going to be kind of harder to do. Do it first. Cut your angle, then trace your paper, the pattern paper with that same angle, and then you're ready to go and it's a whole lot easier. Just one of those tips that I like to give before I dive into how to make that pocket. So when your folio is like this is page 1, this is page 2. We're going to be working with the front of page 2 and creating a pocket here. We're going to pick up that piece that we set aside a little while ago that is a second pocket that measures just shy of 6 7/8 wide by 5.5 inches tall. And we're going to take that piece, bumpy side with the score lines facing down. So score lines facing down, you're going to measure from this score line over 1 1/4 inches. And I'm going to mark that out for you so you can see it visually. We're also going to cut the corners off to make that pocket. So when we cut the corners off, it'll look like this. We're going to take our ruler and measure over 1 1/4 from the edge. So once it's folded, it's easier to make that measurement. It's easier to see, at least on camera. So we're going to make a pencil mark right there. And then on the other side, same thing. I'm going to fold that. And then we're going to make that pocket by measuring down 3 inches here. So make a mark right there. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to cut that angle from here to here. So I went ahead and I added my adhesive. We're going to cut that angle. I'm going to use my paper trimmer to do that. I'm going to snip this piece first. Then I'm going to take my trimmer and cut along that line. And what that will do is give me a nice clean edge. If you have any pencil marks, just go ahead and erase those so they don't show on the front of your page. Once you have that angle, you're also going to want to fold those pieces back and then get the angle and the measurements for the piece that you're going to want to decorate. So measure from here to here, get your rectangle, and then measure this piece so you know what that angle is. If you want to cut it a little bit short by, say, 1/8 of an inch, that would give you a little bit of a edge of the white showing. Personal preference, whatever you want to do and how you want your book to look in the end. Once you have that done, we're going to bring in the folio cover and we're going to adhere that pocket. That pocket is going to go on the front of page 2. So same thing, you're going to want to take off the backing on the bottom of the adhesive, bottom of that pocket. Leave yourself a little tab. Line it up at the bottom and center it left to right. When you have it where you like it, you're going to kind of give that a little rub and pull your tabs. Then you've got it situated the way you want it. Now you can go and take off the other 2 sides and adhere them down. I always roll from the bottom up just to make sure it's the way it's supposed to be. I make sure to give it a good rub so that all of that adhesive is nice and secure. And there is your pocket in step 11. Moving on to step 12, I'm going to have you locate 2 pieces of paper that are 6 3/8 by 7 3/8. There's a score line here, and I'm going to have you place it bumpy side down. So your score line bumpy side facing down, and I'm going to have you add adhesive to both pieces to the outside edge in that 1/2 inch score space right here. When that's complete, it will look like this, and I want you to take your fold, and I'm going to have you fold it away from the adhesive. So both sides are going to go back to each other like that. And I'm going to have you rub that score line nice and flat. And this is going to be page 3 and page 4. As a reference, this is page 3 and this is page 4. So here's your cover, that small part of your cover. This is page 4, this is page 3. We're going to work with page 3 first. So as you're looking at your blank book, this is the front of page 2. We're going to flip that over. We're going to take page 1 of those 2 pages we just created with our adhesive, and we are going to adhere it to this side of the spine. So see how it's to the left of that spine? That's going to be where page 3 goes. So you're going to want to center it top to bottom, left to right, and then adhere it from the left. Or I'm sorry, adhere it from the right. Let's go ahead and remove some of this adhesive backing, and we'll put that baby down. All right, so what we're going to do is fold it over, have our little tabs out. Before I even touch it to the paper on that right hand side, I want to center it left to right, top to bottom. Then from the bottom up, when I have it the way I want it, I'm going to rub the exposed adhesive down and just pull. Make sure it's all aligned, and you've now adhered page 3. So that completed steps 12 and 13. Next, we're going to move on to step 14. And I want you to locate the 10 by 7 inch piece that's scored in half. It looks like the base to a card. So let's grab that. And while you're at it, I also want you to grab the piece that is 3.5 by 4.5 and 2.5 by 4.5. So let's go ahead and do that as well. So you have all of the pieces you need to complete this part of it. You know me, I like to give a reference. So this is the page you just added. This is page 3. We're going to open it up, and we're going to be working on this piece right here. And what it's going to look like when it's finished is this. Before we work on this, we're just going to get the card piece down and work on this. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on that. Take it one step at a time. I know it might be a little intimidating. It just is step-by-step process. So as long as you have patience to kind of work through each piece in the process, you'll be just fine, and it will be beautiful when you're done. So hang in there with me. The first piece we're going to use is the card base. And we're going to take the bumpy side and we're going to fold that in to basically make your card base. We're going to go ahead and give that a nice crisp score line. I want you to find 2 pieces that look like this. This is your 3.5 by 4 and then your 2 by 4.5. And with the 2 by 4.5, you're going to have the bumpy side up and put your adhesive here. This is your score line, your little flap. So bumpy side up, put your adhesive along the right hand side. When you flip it over, you're going to want to add your adhesive to the back side because we're going to make that flap. So what the flap will do is this will be centered here. This is going to flip over to create your hinge, and then this is going to get centered in the middle. So let's first take this little piece and we're going to adhere it to the back of your card, centered top to bottom, and adhere it. So let's go ahead and do that piece first. Again, we're centering top to bottom, and it's adhering to the back, because basically this is going to be your closure for the card and all the fun stuff that goes on inside. Once we get to that point, we'll expose the adhesive here. And we're going to take that 2.5 by 4.5 inch piece and center it top to bottom, left to right. And I put a lot of adhesive on the back of this just because this is going to be opened and closed a lot. So don't be shy and use your adhesive because you're really going to be happy when you do. Now, in this step, it also talks about your magnets. You will want to put your magnets down before you decorate. So you're going to have 2 magnets. I leave the magnets together and I glue them down with something really strong. And then as they're together, I flip them over, put glue on the back of this, flip this down, and let that dry for a little while so that your magnet is secure and nice and dry, and then you can pull them apart. But you want that underneath whatever you're going to decorate. So that's where your magnets would go. So once that piece is in place, we are going to go to step 15, which is going to allow us to create the fun inside. When I talk about the fun inside, I'm talking about this great pop-up piece. It's like a little ledge or a shelf. It's a pop-up shelf. And it looks like the book is popping up out of the inside of that card. With that, same thing. You're going to want to decorate the back side of that card before we start the next step, because you're going to adhere the little pop-up pieces to this, and you're going to want the decorative piece already in place. So just so frame of reference, you know exactly what to anticipate. In step 15, I'm going to ask you to locate 3 pieces that are 2 3/4 long by 2 inches wide. There's 3 of those pieces, and you're going to place them score line, bumpy side facing away from you, so face down. So when you do that, you're going to apply adhesive to the 3/8 inch sections only. So let me flip those over and we'll add our adhesive and show you what that looks like. So this is what that piece will look like. Only the top and the bottom of each of those pieces will have adhesive. Then you're going to fold them back into the bumpy edge. So you're going to fold it back into itself on each of those folds. Give it a nice crease so that they fold back and forth easily, and do that to all 3 of those pieces. Now you have your 3 pieces. We're going to put 2 aside and work with the first one. And we're going to create the pop-up feature in this card. So the pop-up piece will go here. So with a pencil, mark the center point of the assembly piece from step 14 on the center of the score line. So basically step 14 was this card base. Once you have this piece laid out, we're going to find the center point of the card. It's 7 inches long, so we want to put a pencil mark right at the 3.5 inch point, which is right there. Then we're going to take our little piece. It's 2 inches, so we're going to measure the halfway point of that as well, and we're just going to put a pencil mark at the 1 inch point there. Actually, it needs to be right there, because these 2 pieces are going to create the first part of the little triangle. Now, I will confess, I did this wrong the first time, and I used my undo, and I'm fixing it. So, in full honesty, you make mistakes and you fix them. So I have my pencil mark here and my pencil mark here. I'm going to line those 2 up. I'm going to put it on the right side of the score line in the middle, okay, and press that down. Then I'm going to expose the adhesive on the other side. Because it's already centered, we don't need to do another pencil line. We're going to roll that back, and it's going to be hard for you to see. Let's see if I can do it this way. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to put these 2 pieces on the left and right of that score line. So this piece is already adhered. This piece needs to go and be adhered on the other side of the score line. I hope that makes sense. I'll show you when I'm finished. So I've got my adhesive, here's the score line, here is the right hand piece. We're going to put this left hand piece right there. And if you fold it flat and then fold it over, you've got a perfect triangle. And they meet exactly where they need to meet. They're not covering up that score line or binding your project. So you have that piece. That's the first part. Now the second part is you're going to take another one of those little pieces, expose the adhesive on one of those edges, And basically what we're going to do is we're going to make a triangle here. We're going to glue it to the top like that. You want it to make basically 3 little triangles. So this one, with our exposed edge of adhesive, is going to just fit right up against there. When it's the way you want it, fold it flat, and then it adheres. And here's the other tab. Okay, that's step 18. Step 19 has you forming your flat base here. So basically, you're creating that ledge to be able to put the smaller card in. Okay, so you want this piece flat. So you're going to expose the adhesive here. And what I like to do is flatten these 2 pieces together and then shut the card. So your adhesive is exposed here. I'm going to pinch those 2 pieces so that they're flat. And then I'm going to close my card. Because ultimately we want that card to fold flat every time. So wherever this ends up sticking, that's where it needs to be to remain flat the whole time and to fold, allow the card to fold nicely each time. So next we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So same thing. We're going to line up the adhesive to fold that back and put it flush against that other piece, and then give it a little push so that it folds flat. You give it a rub. Same thing. Now we're going to do the same thing we did here on this side. Once we have our adhesive exposed, we're going to give that a pinch, and then we're going to fold it flat and rub. By doing that, your card is always going to lay flat and it's not going to bind. So just to kind of show you without it being glued down, these 2 pieces here are going to be on either side of the score line in the middle of the card. Then these pieces are going to adhere to the base of the card so that you create a flat piece here to attach the smaller card to. And by doing the flattening and adhering at the same time, it allows you to not create any binding when your card is flat. I hope that makes sense. I hope that you can see how it looks in the end. So it will look like that. And honestly, that is probably one of the harder parts. The rest is just kind of fun and decorating. Now that we have that together, we need to put adhesive on the plateau or the flat part of your base. So we're going to go ahead and do that and peel off the adhesive. Next, we're going to pull in that smaller card base and we're going to fold it. We're going to flatten out that score line. Once we flatten out the score line, we are going to position that card top to bottom evenly. Let's mark the halfway point on this. It's 5.5 inches, so it'll be 2 3/4 is the halfway point. This measures 2 inches, so you want the center point to be 1 inch. And we're just going to match the 2 pieces and fold. Then you have it perfectly matched top to bottom and left to right. So the trick is matching those folds and marking the halfway point. So just a reminder, you're going to want to decorate the back piece of this and the back piece of this before you add all of the little triangle pieces to make your pop-up card. Kind of fun, unique. Be great for a little card pop-up too if you wanted to mail something fun. If you just used this piece, you know, and made a card out of it, that would be really cute. Put maybe a little gift card or something as well. Just a fun little element that is more, you know, paper engineered than just a regular pocket. Kind of intriguing and fun for people. That completed step number 21. And now we're going to adhere it in step number 22 to the actual cover. As a reference, this is where it will go. So here's your pocket, or your page 1 is here, page 2 is here. You open page 2, this is the cover, so it folds like that. And you're going to adhere it to this piece, centering it top to bottom and left to right. So let's go ahead and take that step next. That would be step number 22. I want to center that left to right and top to bottom, so it's easier for me to do that when I lift up my flaps or my pages on the left and right so that I know I'm even. And remember, this will be all decorated. So all of this back piece will be decorated, so you won't have these guidelines here showing. We're going to add adhesive to the back and adhere it down to the middle. Now that that's adhered, you have your opening and you have your pop-up that looks like that. Now to close that, again, you're going to want to put your magnets here and here so that that keeps that pop-up closed, because it will automatically pop up because it's meant to do that. There's a lot of paper in there that's going to give it that little zing. So go ahead and add your magnets when you're ready. And then adhere your paper over the top of the magnets. Next, we're going to adhere page 4. That's in step 23. So for reference, this is the pocket we just created, or the pop-up piece. And this is page 3. So now we're going to add page 4, and page 4 is going to go on this side. So you're going to want to get your other piece of paper that was exactly like page 3. Once you have your adhesive on your page 4, we're going to bring in our cover. You're going to add page 4 right to the right of that score line. So page 3 bumps up to the left of the score line. Page 4 is going to adhere to the right of the score line. So we're going to, here's your score line. Here is your piece. There's the score line that folds the whole book here. So this is the left side of the score line with this page, which is page 3. And then you're going to be adding page 4. So you're going to take this piece with your adhesive side down, and it's going to adhere right there, centered top to bottom, to the right of that score line. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll bring in our book. We're going to place it face down this way and go ahead and adhere that, making sure it's centered top to bottom. We're going to only expose portion of the adhesive, so we don't have to use undo, because, you know, that is our friend. And if we have to, it's okay. But we're going to line it up at the top, gently at the bottom, And then when we've got it the way we want it, we're just going to press the bottom, hold the top, and pull out the little tabs. And give it a nice rub. And adhere that adhesive nice and firmly. So now you have the completion of page 4 in your album. Next, we're going to go to step 24, which is going to add a pocket to the outside or the front side of page 4. So let's do that next. There aren't many pieces left in your kit. You're going to want to locate the vertical pocket that is 5.5 inches tall by 9 inches wide. The pocket is going to go this way. So go ahead and find that piece. Like the other pockets, we're going to trim away the corners and add adhesive to all 3 of those sides of the pocket. You're going to have your bumpy side of your score lines facing down or away from you. And then you're going to apply your adhesive to those 4 sides. So bumpy side down, and then you'll add your adhesive. Then from there, you're going to fold your score lines back, crease them really well with your bone folder. Then you're ready to adhere it to your page number 4. We'll bring our book back in. Now, you can do your pocket any way you'd like. So here is our page. The directions show that the pocket gets adhered here and the pocket opening is here. But maybe you don't want that. It's okay. You can flip that pocket around and you can add the pocket so that the opening is here. That works too. I'm going to do it the way the directions say, but you can do it any way you want. If you'd rather have it easy to pull out your stuff here or here so that everything stays nice and contained and doesn't fall out. It's just a personal preference. You can do it both ways. I would, however, decorate the front of page 4 before you adhere the pocket, just because it's easier. Let's go ahead and adhere that pocket. Once that pocket is adhered, it looks like this. Once you have adhered that pocket, your Folio 10 is complete. Now I know it seems like a lot of steps. I know it seemed a little bit complicated, but if you just take your time and work through each of the pieces, this is a beautiful folio that you can give as a gift or keep on a coffee table, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it holds so many different things. It can hold journaling, it can hold cards, it can hold ephemera, it can hold pictures. What a great gift. I want to do just a quick walkthrough of the completed book one more time for you so you have all of the fun things to think about at the very end. So there's your opening. Here's your flap, your little belly band, your 3 diagonal pockets. Jen does a great job of doing little ephemera clusters and attaching it on 2 of the sides but not the top, and then tucking cute little tags and ephemera pieces inside. It'd be cute with photos as well. Then we have this page that opens up to your diagonal pocket, which can hold a ton of pictures. Then we have this. Jen did a great job of adhering things here with her ephemera cluster and making another pocket just out of what she had that she was decorating with. Then you open it up. You have a space here and another pocket. She's got a cute little ephemera cluster here at the bottom. She even decorates the little spine piece, which is kind of fun. This piece could just be blank and add a photo, or Jen did a great job of adding this 1-inch piece on a diagonal to create this little tiny little tuck-in. You can tuck in tags and ephemera and pictures. Just so cute. You don't have to adhere it if you don't want to. This might be fun to put pictures in there for Grandma and Grandpa, and they can remove the picture, put it on the refrigerator until they get the next picture. That would be kind of cute too. This is another page that can be a little pocket. This is just a 3x4 cut apart that she glued on two sides, added some additional ephemera, and then made it a little tiny pocket, like a half pocket. Then we open this up. We put our pocket facing the right. Jen decided to put her pocket facing left. And then she created another pocket out of some ephemera, glued on two sides, so that you can add, actually it's three because this is glued down a little bit too, to add some more little fun ephemera pieces or journaling or wallet-sized photos would be really cute in there. Then she did a matching kind of little slash here with the 1-inch strip and tucked some 3x4 cards in. The magnets are put down here and here before you decorate, and that's going to keep that closed. And then when you open it, you have your little table that pops up, so you can decorate here. And there's your pocket. There's a little ephemera piece here that's glued on two sides, and then the little tags can be tucked in as well. You can put a photo behind it. So cute. We close that. I think I showed you that already. It's glued on two sides. And then here's the right side of your cover. So then we're going to close it. And look how beautiful that book is. There's lots of beautiful paper available from PHOTOPLAY to create a stunning album to give or keep for yourself. I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial on how to assemble Folio 10. I know it's probably one of our longer videos, but I wanted to take the time and make sure that you understood each piece so that it wasn't overwhelming. There are a lot of steps, but as long as you take your time and patience, you can get through it very easily and end up with a stunning album in the end. That wraps up the assembly of Folio 10. I hope you have enjoyed the step-by-step process. I hope it makes it more clear and it encourages you to be creative and make one of your own. Thanks for stopping by and have a great day.